Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have Kingdom Hearts, the other mix. So, a little while ago, we got a suggestion on YouTube by one Alex, where they wanted us to discuss this Kingdom Hearts creepypasta called The Other Mix. So I hunted it down, and here we are. It's by Scourge the Hedgehog on fanfiction.net, or their other moniker is Clom89 on KH Insider forums, is another spot where you can find it. So we'll kind of just go into this. Full disclosure, I have never played Kingdom Hearts, so going into this story...
How dare you, sir?
Mm-hmm.
I have never played it either.
Mikey?
I've played, I think, the intro of the first game.
Great.
So, I at least know the location that the part of this takes place in.
Honestly, to be perfectly honest, while I've never played the games, I was actually familiar with most of the stuff because it wasn't a lack of desire to play the games. It's just I didn't have a PS2. So I do know what Destiny Isles is, or and Sora and Riku, and even like I googled like some of the characters I didn't know that are referenced in the story.
The main three I googled just so I had an image of them.
Yeah,
in my head.
To which the point is like, yeah, there's yeah, so yeah, we and the story does kind of have it does have one benefit to it where it the person writing this is almost kind of adding in things for people who aren't so far in the know of Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So like there wasn't too much Googling I had to do for the story because it was all in the story itself. So but anyway, getting ahead of ourselves, rundown. Basically, this character, who we get a name, his name is Andrew Doe. He's 18. He's a diehard Kingdom Hearts fan. And he buys this final mix edition of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep off of eBay for $3. And it seemed that the buyer was very eager to sell it to him because it was like literally in the descriptor, it's like, please, please, please take this from me. So not seeing any of the red flags here. Our narrator, Andrew Doe, decides to pay the $3 and get the game within 3 days. And
It's on Prime, man.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's not
Amazon Prime. It's eBay. Like,
never mind.
We'll get into that afterward, like in my notes. But anyway,
so the guy lives next door. He just dropped it off.
Yeah.
So the next day he had to go to work.
Yes. Basically, the game is like a hacked, modded version of the game, and like there's things missing in it. There's things that have been changed. Most of the levels aren't there. The character selection screen is really weird and has like demonic music playing. Like all the characters that you can select, like Terra, Ventus, and Aqua, they're all dead, impaled on spikes, spikes of darkness over a like fractured version of the character select area. I guess it's called the Awakening. I guess Kingdom Heart fans will get what that is.
I actually found out what that looked like because I felt it was important enough that
You Googled it?
Here's the thing. I tried Googling it. I could not find it. So I started watching playthroughs of the game.
How dare this story make us enjoy Let's Plays?
I know, right? But I started watching it, and I'm jumping through it, trying to see where the character select screen is. I'm like, it's 20 minutes in. I have to be way too far.
Nope.
Keep going back and back. I'm like, where is it? It's not there. It's just the one guy. So I decided to just put it on 2x speed and just let it go. And like 25 to 30 minutes in is where the character select screen shows up.
God, what is this? Like Metal Gear Solid, like with the cinematics,
bit.
or was it
Little bit.
cinematics, or was it a?
There's gameplay in it too.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, all the usual selectable characters are like dead and impaled on spikes of darkness. He also got this cryptic message that basically is like the nursery rhyme, like Rockabye Baby, on the treetop kind of thing, and like there's like it's almost like done up like a threat or like a warning to him, like when the bow breaks, the cradle will rock, and then like everything will come crashing down, and the abyss will consume you, kind of stuff. The character that he can play in the awakening screen is completely like shaded out, and so he goes to select it, and then he goes onto the world map. The only place that's actually like able to like land in the world in the overmap is this the Destiny's Islands, which isn't able to be, you're not able to like play in that, or like start in that area, or like play in that area in the main game, but now you can, and in fact that's the only place you can play in this hacked version of it. And so he lands and is on the beaches of Destiny Islands, and we find out that he is actually a possessed version of Terra, or Terra's character, and the thing that's possessing him is Xehanort, the main villain from the Kingdom Hearts series. Like basically it's Terra's character model, but with like white hair and yellow eyes. And that's when Sora and Riku, characters from the Kingdom Hearts series, show up on the beach with wielding wooden swords, like wooden play swords. And then they're all like battered and bruised, and like they're missing one of their eyes, and they enter a combat. They get their asses handed to them by the player character, and not before spouting some existential like verses, like life has no meaning, like everything like that kind of stuff. And then they like Riku actually just like straight up commits seppuku, just like impales himself on the wooden sword before the end of the combat. And then disgusted, the player Andrew decides to keep going, and Xehanort goes to the dock area, but then goes to a cave where all the textures have been are no longer like the rock textures and like the rock wall, the rock writing and stuff like that on the textures. It's all like flesh textures and like photographs of people being like ripped apart and tortured. He then proceeds to go down a set of stairs that leads to the awakening zone, where the character select screen actually kind of like is, and then the zombified versions of Terra, Aqua, and Ventus come off of their spikes, those like shadow spikes, and we enter another combat where it's very well described in the story. Like it's actually like varied. It's not like just the same thing over and over again. Like there's actually like some like thought put into like the combat sequences between these three characters.
Each character attacks very differently.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually tactics like implied on like different tactics implemented on each one. And the Xehanort Terra character that the player is playing basically wipes them all out and just discards their like dismembered body parts off into the abyss. And there's like messages of like the cradle and like the cradle and the bow breaking, and like the baby, and like everything will fall down into the abyss. And they also start talking. The characters are also like referencing Andrew himself in these sequences, so it's freaking Andrew out, and like he's vomited a couple of times at this point. But he keeps playing, and he gets to the very end, and then Xehanort himself impales himself on his keyblade, and then addressing Andrew, saying, "Down will come Andrew, cradle and all." Part of the nursery rhyme, like the skewed nursery rhyme thing, and then he falls into the abyss. And then there's another gruesome photo that's plastered onto the screen with a tune in the background and continues to play. And it depicts a boy's body that has been shattered due to a long fall. And there's a cradle next to it. And then another photo pops up from a different angle of the same kind of crime scene. And it's like showing an angle of the tree branch, which is visible. And next to the branch is the body's face. And it's Andrew's face. So at this point, with a loud scream, Andrew throws his PSP across the wall, across the room, and hits the wall and like shatters it, except for the screen, which is still playing. And so, curiously, he goes over to the screen, and it was still on. And that's when he saw, and then it cuts out, and then it cuts to a note. I'm guessing like a police note kind of thing of the note, because this is actually like the character is writing this, the whole thing down, and then the note ends there. And then 2 days after, police find the remains of Andrew Doe by a tree outside of his house. And then the autopsy showed that all his organs were mashed up as if from a great fall. And they had no evidence to support that it was a murder, so they chalked it up to a suicide and case closed. 2 years prior to the incident, a 30-year-old man was arrested for killing an 18-year-old his 18-year-old son in a wooden cradle, or who he tied up into a wooden cradle and threw off of the top of his house. The dad was given the death penalty, and the mother vanished. That's the end of the story. That's how the story ends. It's just like giving us that little bit of information after the note and after the death of Andrew. So, yeah. I guess we will go into everyone tolerates the grammar inquisitions at this point. And boy, howdy, are you guys going to have to tolerate this time, because there are a number of grammar inquisitions. So I've got a bit of a list, so you're just going to have to bear with me, guys. So, I'd sent the money via PayPal and expected the game within 3 days. So, expected is missing an E in that sentence. Next one is I opened the box and saw no manual, only the game. And opened is missing an E as well. And then my next one, he had a secret episode file. So he had beaten the game and unlocked the secret movie, including the secret episode and its movie. And this part's kind of just like a redundancy error. Like, I don't think
the secrets in movies.
Yeah, I don't think you need that last bit. Like, it seems a bit redundant. Like, you could have ended it with just like, and unlocked the secret movie, not including the secret episode and its movie. Like,
well,
you've already said that.
It might make more sense in context, because you might have to unlock the secret episode and then play through the secret episode to unlock the secret movie from that episode. So he's saying that there's another stage to doing it. They don't just get unlocked at the same time.
God, that is convoluted.
Yeah, the way it's worded could be better. Yes.
Yeah. Then my next one, install data wasn't available. It's just the I is in the wrong spot in available. And this typo happens again about 3 or 4 sentences down. So I'm just not going to repeat that, like, because it's the same. It's the same basic typo. All of them gave the same message prompt whenever I clicked on one of them. So you just got to remove that second the, because there's 2 thes right after the other. The next one, the wind is blowing continuously. Can you balance the cradle? So continuously, it's just, again, the O, or there's it needs another U in continuously. A light shines on the figure as an ear-deafening screech fills my ears. The scene zooming past the figure's face and into the loading screen. A little redundant to me, with 2 ears in the same line. Like, you can just use like a deafening screech fills my ear. You don't need an ear-deafening screech fills my ear.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one, there is so it looked like a cross to me at first, but once I moved a little, I saw what looked like wings flapping. So flapping here has 3 P's. You only need 2. It looked bloodshot, and it kept itself trained on the figure whenever it moved, or whenever I moved it. So looked is missing an E. There's actually a lot of these typos are just like it's missing an E, or just a singular letter has been like moved over.
The E key was kind of messed up on his keyboard.
Yeah, maybe that, or like they were typing this on in like and just didn't give it a proofread. Is my guess. Because I mean these are all mistakes that like are generally from just like typing up, like when you're typing really fast to get things done. And then this one here's a past tense thing and also a wrong word that was used. So as I examined the textures, them seemed off. I think you want as I examined the textures, they seemed off.
Yep.
And then my next one, eventually, like it got to a point where like I was actually just like there's like 2 or 3 of these typos in a single sentence. So I'm basically just combining typos. So here's the next one. His face was contorted in agony as the intestines that were failing out were visible in clear detail. So here, it's fouling because it's missing the double L, and then out were visible. It's just missing an E. So again, another thing of like you're typing fast, you just accidentally didn't hit the E. And same thing for this one. In an effort to calm myself, I took in a deep breath. Effort is missing its second F. The prompt disappears as Xehanort releases a spike of darkness that stabs through Sora's chest and out of his other side. So it disappears. It has 2 S's, and it only needs 1 S, like at the beginning there. And my next one, throughout the whole area, I saw what appeared to be intestines or some sort of organic material strewn across the rock face and all across the wooden docks that must have survived whatever happened here. Okay, so that was a little run-on for me. But more importantly, intestines, it doesn't need that S at the beginning there. Like it says intestines, and you just need to get rid of one of that first S. Here's my next one. By the time he's directly near the cave entrance, the whole screen becomes staticky, finally becoming nothing but static. Entering another loading screen, the static remained throughout. Yo, dog, I heard you like static, so I put your static in static. And really, I'm just trying to get across that like there's a lot of like the use of static is used a lot in that sentence. And also when the whole screen becomes staticky, there is a K in there that I don't think has to be in there.
Oh, that's right.
I think
looked that up.
Yeah, I think it's just you just put a Y after static.
Oh, I looked it up. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Oh, like with a K?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Funny that Google Docs does not mention that.
Double check it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Dictionary.com with a K.
Okay, cool. Like a CK? Okay, cool.
Thought it was weird too.
Yeah. But yeah, that sentence just has a lot of the use of static a lot. Like there are other descriptors you could use to show like the distortion or like find a different way so you're not using static like 3 times in the same sentence. The next one, the static finally begins to God damn it. The static finally begins to subside as I see him standing by the exit to the cave, parallel from the door. But I immediately freaked out. So the door, it has a double E for some reason.
Thine
door.
The door.
Yeah, the door. And there's this one. One depicted a little child, at least 7 years of age. Sorry? I think it's missing the E to make it years of age.
No, he's a pirate.
I'm hearing a pattern.
Yars of age. Yeah, exactly. that's what pirate ages are.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. My next one here. I tried running back towards the exit, only it too not be there at all. It was a one-way road. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I had to fix. This is the one sentence in the story that I actually like. Okay, I need to rejigger this sentence. So this is how I would have written this part. It's like I tried running back towards the exit, only it wasn't there at all. I was left with one way to go. Just the way that middle section of it, like only it to not be there at all. Like just to me, it like really didn't work.
Yeah, I tried running back towards the exit, only it to not be there at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it's technically grammatically correct,
but I don't like it.
Weird.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I had to reread it a couple times myself.
Yeah. So my next one here, the floor disappears underneath Xehanort as he begins to fall. Another loading screen starting up. So screen just has too many E's. Throw one away. Give it to one of the other words in the above typos.
Yeah.
Next one here. It was too fast for me to see, but it looked familiar to me for some reason. So it's supposed to be but. Just get rid of that I in there. Next one here. The only to do is beat fire with fire. I think you want the only thing to do is beat fire with fire. Then my next one, all the tissue and flesh had been shaven off during Xenoheart's / frenzy. So there's a the at the very beginning there that's missing an E. So all of the tissue. And also I'm pretty sure it's not Ben, it's Bean. Even though I know that like you maybe they're referencing another video game creepypasta, but I doubt it.
No. There's no
Ben shaved
here. Ben shaved. No.
Ben shaven. Next one I have.
So would it be shaved off, not shaven off?
Oh yeah, wait. So had been shaven off. Yeah, is that so? Shaved off? Yeah, it would be the better one. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the next one, the blood from the muscules flooded the platform the two were on as Ventus advances on Xehanort again. All right, so like this section has does this a couple of times. First thing, from the platform the two were on comes up a lot, and it's like it really kind of like it kept like making me pause to like read what the hell I was reading. Like it kind of like broke the flow of the sentence a little bit. Like I don't know, like every time I kept reading, like whenever he was talking about the platform that the two were, I think what it is like it needs like the platform that the two were on, as opposed to the platform the two were on, because it kept throwing me off. It's like I just kept imagining that it was just the platform, but then it would give me an extra couple of words like the two were on. It's like I don't know. It was throwing me off every time I read that part of it. But that's actually not my main gripe. The main gripe here with typos is muscles. It doesn't need a U in it, or at least doesn't need a second U. So it doesn't say muscules. And as Ventus advances on Xehanort again, I probably would have gone with advanced on Xehanort again, because they're still kind of in the past tense. And then my next one, sharp masses of rock pierce Ventus's body as one of them pokes through his arm. The arm falling Oto the platform. I think you want falling onto the platform.
Yep.
Next one is Vintistris to struggle free but cannot since his spine is serving as a support for the form. I think you want Ventus, because Ventus is missing an E there, and tries to struggle
Is also
free,
missing an E.
which is also missing an E, yes.
E key, man. It's gooped up there real good.
Yeah.
I wonder if it actually is, because it's
Maybe.
mainly E's we're missing.
Yeah, it's a lot of E's that are missing. The next one here is after I succeed, I immediately wish I hadn't. So, unfortunately, succeed is missing its double C. And the next one here, the rock form explodes in a shower of light, and Ven's body is ripped apart by the pressure. Now, there's no real way for me to like say what's wrong with it, but ripped apart, the apart has a double P when it doesn't need it. And then my next one, Aqua manages to dodge the attack.
Really thought you said Aquaman there. Sorry, please continue.
I'll redo it. Aquaman. I understand now. It took me a second. Aquaman ages. Aquaman ages. Oh, God damn it! I can't unread that.
I'm sorry.
Damn you, sir.
I'm sorry.
I'm keeping this in. I'm keeping that in. Aqua manages to dodge the attack completely as she launches shards of ice at Xehanort. So attack, the T is just in the wrong spot. It's supposed to be next to the other T in that word. And then my next one, at the moment, I seized my chance and use Ars Solum. So again, must be something with their keyboard with the E, because they're missing another E here in moment.
Oh, yeah.
My next one here. She then sends a fireball at Xehanort, which I managed to send flying back at her. So send is just missing a D there at the end of the sentence.
The E worked. That's good.
Yeah, the E works. Yeah. But then we get this one.
No.
The photo then disappears as another on takes its place. You need an E in one, so another one takes its place. And then at this point, I was getting really kind of frustrated. I'm not going to lie. I was getting very frustrated with the story with its typos. And so this was the final gauntlet of it. This is the final. Yeah, actually, I think I even wrote that in my final thoughts. Like, that was the nail in the coffin. But anyways, getting ahead of myself. Here's the sentence or sentences that were in consecutive order. So the parts of the console fly around and land in separate areas while the screen lands nearby. I notice that despite the impact, it's the other thing. It's the only thing that was completely intact, and it looked like there was still something on the screen. Okay, these are the last goddamn typos that I found. So separate does not have two E's. It has two A's in it. Or sorry, it doesn't have three E's in it. It has two A's in it. So that middle E in the sentence or in the word has to be replaced with an A. The next one, it's not despite, it's despite. It needs that E needs to be moved over to despite to make it despite. Mm-hmm. The word the right after despite needs an E as well. Mm-hmm. And then looked is also missing an E between look and the D, so that it's spelled properly. Right. And wow, yeah, and then something is missing an E as well. So yeah, it's real. I feel like I might be being too hard on this person. Like, I was just getting flustered with like all the typos, but I think you nailed it on the head there, gamer. It might just be that their E in their keyboard was faulty, or like there was some kind of something gunked up in it. Because a lot of these typos that I found, and this is the last of my typos, a lot of them were just they were missing an E.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy had played a lot of PC games.
You're right, yeah.
Because E is used in everything.
Yeah. It's used as the interact button a lot.
Yeah. And like some games you have to mash it.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised at all.
That's fair. That's totally fair. But that is the end of my gauntlet. That is the Grammar Inquisitions. So, Mikey, do you have anything further?
Apparently I do.
You what?
It looks like I do.
Okay, cool.
Here's tenths, or no, it's just worded wrong. One of Riku's eyes were missing. It should be one of Riku's eyes was missing.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's okay. That is a common mistake too, because they add an s at the eyes, which usually is plural, but it's one of the eyes, so it's a singular.
Yes.
Yep.
I can't fault them on that because I've run into that a couple of times in my writing. So, I mean, we can point it out, but I can't fault them for getting that issue.
Yeah, and then my next one here sounds odd.
Okay.
Jutting from the platform I was on is seen a walkway.
A walkway
Yeah.
is seen jutting out from the platform I was on.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's it, other than a conjunction junction it story.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I haven't noticed any conjunctions yet. Maybe I just haven't. I really wasn't looking at it, but I was like, I'm sure Mikey will have one.
It's not our job to look at
Exactly. It's Mikey's volunteered job. All right. So do you want to do that one before we go over to gamer, or?
That's how we do it.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. All right. And now a conjunction junction with a side order of an it story.
It's all combined.
Yes. Take it away.
But, like an idiot, I figured it was only $3. I can spare it. It arrived on my doorstep in a small package sent by the post office. It was only after returning to my house did I see why he was so shifty. It said, "When the darkness swallows all, be sure not to fall into its void. Keep your mind and you'll keep your life." It had gone directly to the title screen. It must have been a hack, but I paid money for this thing and I didn't want it to go to waste. It asked about difficulty, like always. It seemed like a warning, but for what? But it turns out that was just the warm-up compared to what I saw next. But another, more unnerving question. Since when does Kingdom Hearts contain the sprites for blood in the first place? And this was just the beginning. It looked like a cross to me at first, but once I moved a little, I saw what looked like wings flapping. It looked bloodshot, and it kept itself trained on the figure whenever I moved it as if it were poised to strike or something. But something urged me on. It was Xenahort in Terra's body, just like in the original game. And I couldn't believe what it said. It obviously wasn't part of the game. It was too late to turn back. It was something worse. It was most likely just red color modification. It was a one-way road. But I had come this far, endured too much shit, saw too much horror, not to know the answer. It looks as though the blood on the pieces has dried. And that's when I heard the sounds. It was almost as if nothing had ever happened to them. It's just a game, but I couldn't hold it in any longer. It felt as though they were about to come out of the PSP and hack me to bits. It was too fast for me to see, but it looked familiar to me for some reason. It was like something out of an autopsy photo. It was a children's game. And then I feel it. But I just had to keep on going. It connects, flames covering her body, while she grabs her head and begins screaming in agony, her voice distorted as well, and others way too horrific to describe on this account. It depicted the remains of a boy's body that had been shattered due to a long fall. It's the same picture, but shot from a different angle. It's my face! And it looked like there was still something on the screen. It was still on, and I saw.
Finn.
One of these days, I'm thinking I might have to actually like add in like bongo music, like just like almost like a poetry like almost like a poetry corner kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
maybe if I decide that I like want to put that much effort into into some production, I'm just gonna follow the. I'm just gonna follow. What?
Ask Future Cultist and see what he thinks.
Yeah,
whether or not
I think his reaction will be the to quote another podcast favorite of mine, Ross Payton. Ugh, effort.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, the when he at the very beginning of that, when you got to it's like it came to the house in 3 days. I was like, and that's when I found it wasn't a game cartridge; it was somebody's finger. Like, I don't know why. I just like that's immediately where it went to. Is just like he just got like something horrible and grotesque instead of the game for $3 off of eBay.
I like when he was going like, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like, oh, it's something so bad, it's the worst thing ever. It's red coloration.
Yeah. We'll get into that with the actual thoughts, but first, grammar in yellow.
Yes. So all of my actual spelling related ones you did get. The few I wrote down. It's weird too because a lot of the ones that you were reading, I remember reading it and being like, "That's wrong," but I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I think the one that Mikey got, the missing, was the missing one? What was that?
Didn't get any typo ones.
I thought he did.
No.
It was all grammar ones.
Oh, okay, sorry, that might have been it. Anyway, yeah, I think the one that you referenced before you did the conjunction junction, I was like, yeah, I think I remember seeing that. I was just like, no, I'm done. Like I was getting really tired, honestly, of the typos.
Yeah, because when I was reading it, a lot of the typos you were saying, and like I had to read over them again, but I didn't make a point to write them down. That may have been my fault for doing this kind of late, but you know,
I don't know what you're talking about.
that's not my move. It's fine.
Yeah.
But after doing all my notes, I'm like, there's not that many grammar things. That's weird. I thought there'd be more. Yeah. But anyways, what I do have left is tense-related things. A couple of tense-related things. One is the figure begins to walk forward beyond my control. That should be began because tense. The two immediately take out wooden swords and enter battle poses, intending to engage the figure in combat. Sora says something angrily, but all I hear is static and glitch sounds. So that should be took out wooden swords and entered battle poses.
Wow, you're now in the tent. In the tent.
And it says,
and now we have a new location in our studio.
The tent's tent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it says Sora says, it'd be Sora said something angrily. And
Yeah.
instead of but all I hear are static, it should have been all I heard was static.
Yeah.
And then my last one is actually a sort of typo related one. But I immediately freaked out. Instead of the usually rock sketches and rock textures one would expect. So it should be usual rock textures, not usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
The usual rock textures. Yeah. And that's all I got for the grammar in yellow.
Okay. And you see, this is why we do. It's basically like 3 bouts of editing, because like if one of us doesn't catch something, the other one might catch it. Like putting 3 nets down consecutively.
Pretty much, yeah. I will say though, with yours,
Yeah.
the one thing I'm gonna slightly fight you on.
Okay.
When you were saying that, like the whole platform situation, I didn't really understand what you meant by that.
It was to me. It was just like really. When I was reading it, I kept having to like reread it, and it just kind of like was clunky to me. But that might just be my own personal preference. Like it's not how I would have written that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying I didn't stumble on that personally, but
Yeah,
you did. Fine. So because someone stumbled on it, I guess it should be changed a bit.
Yeah, or at least looked at, maybe reevaluated. Yeah. All right. Well, on to actual thoughts. So I'm going to just start off right at the very beginning with the author's note. I was going to read the whole thing, but I think I don't want to do that for a time. So basically, the author is just kind of going in and saying like, hey, I'm writing this creepypasta. If you don't know what creepypastas are, they're this. Like they have haunted video games, lost episode TV shows, and like reality bending text and like use shock value as a means of scaring or unnerving their audience. And but just be in mind that this character, the narrator is in the story, is not me, and that and that all the occurrences, gameplay, and people mentioned in the story are fictional. Hence why they are posted in creative writing instead of a police report. Thank you and enjoy. By the way, if this is posted in the wrong section or requires deletion for whatever reason, do what must be done by all means. It's like, wow, this is like the most sincere and courteous author's note I've ever read.
Yeah.
And like, not even saying I've read bad ones, just damn. Like,
well, it's because he's posting it on like not a creepypasta related website.
Yeah, he's writing it on a fan fiction website, and then also in like the Kingdom Hearts Insider. The version I have is from the Kingdom Hearts Insider forums. So
it's on a video game forum.
Yeah.
Thing. The intro on the fanfiction.net was much smaller. I could read it.
Yeah, I know. It's basically, I think it's like half of it.
Not even. It's like a third.
Yeah.
It's very streamlined. Basically just him saying all the same shit, but also be merciful with the critique since I'm new at creepypastas.
Aw. I'm sorry. Well, to be fair, we're being kind of like, we're critiquing it from like the perspective of like, we want this to be better. That is generally how we do with grammar inquisitions. Is that or why we even do a grammar inquisition, is so that if somebody is listening to this and they are the author of a story that we've done, this will help them correct mistakes in the grammar, not like the content itself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what actual thoughts is for. But again, I digress. So moving on to my next thing here. So I went.
Do you have your notes set up in chapters?
I do not.
Wow.
Because it was 3 chapters, man. Last time I got chastised for doing it in by chapters that were only like 2 or 3. Yes, Mikey chastised me for doing that with the siren. He was like, I don't know why you did it. It was like there wasn't enough of them.
To be fair,
so
the chapters aren't listed on the fan fiction website, so I didn't even know there was chapters when I was reading this.
Oh, there's lines. There's line breaks.
Yeah,
but it doesn't say chapter 1, 2, 3 like it does in the document.
Yeah.
Is that actually at the same spot? Legs. Yes. Okay. So those are the chapter breaks. Although, as you say, it's not listed.
Yeah. So anyway, moving right along. So this comment here. I went back on eBay and found that he had deactivated his account right after the bid. This was getting more and more freaky by the minute. But I was more excited with playing my new game than I was with a shitty con man. Ah, yes, the downfall of all good haunted video game players. Excitement. Honestly, with regards to the whole eBay setup of this, I can actually relate to the uneasiness of buying something so cheap versus like wanting to get a good price on something that is way too overpriced in other online markets. Like I actually have been recently buying a bunch of stuff on eBay because other markets have been so fucking expensive for them. And yeah, like there is a bit of an uneasiness with eBay because like it is kind of an open market. And like while they do have like stars and stuff like that, I have heard horror stories of people getting like just shit on for their whole like their purchases and stuff. Also, with regards to like the 3-day delivery that is mentioned in this section of the eBay thing, like was this in the same town? Like, how'd you get that in 3 days? I'm waiting on 2 packages for a month. Mind you, I'm also saying this in the year the Earth stood still, 2020.
Yes.
So,
and also the seller really wanted to get rid of it, so he may have paid for like express mail, like get it away from me as fast as physically possible.
Yeah, that's true. And then with regards to the product itself, so I took the UMD out of the box to see that it was completely blank. No picture of the game logo, no serial number, no serial credentials at all, for that matter. Just a UMD. He probably removed the picture for some odd reason. Probably to stare at the picture of Aqua. Perv, maybe? I'll never know. Or he just put a blank or pirated version of the game back in the case. What did you expect for $3?
Yeah.
Like honestly, yeah, I would have gone more for like, okay, so he just gave you a pirated version of the game on a that he like pulled from a blank UMD, because I know that stuff can happen.
And for those not in the know, that means Universal Media Disc.
Yeah, it was the main disc for PSPs, which stands for PlayStation Portables.
Plastic. Weird.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, moving on. He had played through all of the stories in level 1 critical mode. A gamer that likes a challenge, a dying breed. All right, when I read that, I just like, I love this little commentary. Like it kind of came off just kind of silly with a slight tinge of edge, but maybe that's just how I was reading it.
Maybe.
Like, a gamer that likes a challenge. What a dying breed. It's like,
I think it's that voice that you put on it. That's
yeah,
why.
I was reading this. Like, I did start reading this like with that kind of like voice in hand.
If you have that voice going, everything's edgy. You could be like, I got home and my mom got me chocolate cake.
I love
chocolate
cake. My favorite.
Chocolate cake's the best.
Tonight when I get home from work, I'm gonna play with my puppies. I miss them so much. I miss them so much. A dying breed.
They're so rare.
I just made that sad. All right, anyway. I was also reading this story, again, full disclosure, I was reading this story with another album from Cryo Chamber, so I had just to kind of add into the like the dark moodiness. And then my next thing here, it had gone directly to the title screen. Oddly enough, the text was in English, something unexpected from a Final Mix game. Final Mixes tend to have Japanese text, unless English text is unlockable somehow. I do like that, as someone who hasn't played Kingdom Hearts or any of the games, though not for, again, lack of desire, the writer and narrator of the story are giving us a little tidbits of information about the game. Like, so that we aren't completely lost in the in kind of the video game technobabble. Like we are getting basically some context to things, which I kind of appreciated from this the story. The title screen itself lacked music and had an ominous feel to it. Just gonna check that off on my my video game creepypasta bingo card. And also, man, does this story continue to vomit up tropes of video game creepypastas? Like this is basically a classic example of a video game creepypasta like post Ben Drowned. Like there's just a lot of like different things in this game like that make this video game experience feel like a creepypasta video game. Like demonic music, screens are all broken, or things are removed except for the main focus of the story. Beloved characters are dead or zombified or horribly mutilated in some fashion. Hyper realistic death sequences like and add-ins of blood and such, and then even like random like imagery of like real like death and carnage. It has all basically I could have filled an entire line on the bingo card.
Pretty much.
For Vigipastas. So and then the next one here. From what I could see, blood was dripping from the corpses impaled on the spikes. Case in point. Onto the pieces they were on. The blood was falling into the bottomless abyss below. My eyes opened wide in half fear, half disgust. Since when does Kingdom Hearts have blood? But another, more unnerving question, since when does Kingdom Hearts contain the sprites for blood in the first place? Okay, so two things here that kind of bugged me a little bit. You clearly have a hacked or modded game where someone must have imported blood graphics or blood assets. The second thing, though, also is that you basically just asked the same question twice. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Like,
100%. I had the same thing.
Yeah. And so my next one here, the nursery rhyme messages served only to scare me more. Nowadays, whenever somebody hears a nursery rhyme, it's usually in a horror movie, and it always signifies trouble. Not wrong. Is this creepypasta actually giving me commentary on a facet of today's mainstream horror media? Like, it kind of is, because yeah, like when you think of like nursery rhymes nowadays, I almost immediately go to creepy, because that's how horror movies and stuff today have kind of like built them up. Like they're no longer, like, at least as an adult, like as a kid, like nowadays, I'm sure like they still have like an innocence to them, but as an adult, they've suddenly become a more sinister like tool to be implemented in horror movies.
If there's just like a kid sitting in the middle of the room reciting a freaking nursery rhyme,
yeah,
it's like, okay.
Yeah, honestly, my niece has done that a couple of times. I'd be like all I'm hearing in the background is like the Psycho music playing, or the Psycho theme. But yeah, it's just, or like just hearing like violin strings like sharpenly like hitting. Yeah, no, it's just I found it interesting that the story had a commentary on like mainstream horror media in this creepypasta. And this is a silly comment I added. It's like, my breathing became worse. What did this all mean? You're suffering from asthma. Go seek help now. But seriously, you've already stated that your breathing has begun to get heavier as you're freaking out from this story. Like in a previous, like I think only like a couple of lines up, so, or like a paragraph or two up. So you really don't need to keep bringing it up. Like at least this early. Like you can mention it once, but like he this is like the second or third time this character mentions that his breathing is becoming worse as he's playing this game. So,
well, he does say very early on, like before he even starts playing, like as soon as anything weird starts happening, that he's kind of a wuss. I don't mean that in a bad way.
Oh, he does say that.
He is very sensitive to anything spooky.
Yeah.
So the fact that he troopered on through this whole freaking thing, I don't even know how he managed to. He did say a couple of times where it's like controlling him to do so almost. Like, yeah.
Funny you say that.
So Yeah.
That's actually my next note.
What a great segue.
Yeah. So here's the quote. I honestly wanted to put the game down right now and just forget about all I've seen. But something inside me urged me on, almost as if somebody else was telling me to keep playing. Yeah, it was the author writing the story. Just to be a little meta there. But yeah, and then actually, and then there's this one that's also kind of related to that. I had seen some stuff that was not going to be leaving my mind anytime soon. It was too late to turn back, though. Wait, what? Why? Why is it too late to turn back? You've barely touched the screen you've barely touched the game at this point. Like you're in the opening intro level. Just turn it off. Curse you, author of this pasta. Why do you torture your narrator? Sorry.
He's like way too curious about why it's the way it is.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I think
he's invested.
Yeah, and I guess I've told this story before. I think on our episode where I purchased a Link Between Worlds copy, like a used copy off of eBay. No, not off of eBay, at EB Games. And when I brought it home and played it, the first save, there was a save on it that was Ben, and I immediately pushed the DS back, took a photo, and then continued playing in the next save.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, I can kind of I can kind of see where that character mentality is, because it would be freaky, but I'd still want to be playing, I guess. Though after some of this stuff, I'd be I might have gone I probably would have also stopped playing at that point and gone and hung out with a buddy and dragged some people into this dude, you gotta see this. This is really fucking weird. I got off eBay for $3. This really weird hacked version of Kingdom Hearts. What was the title? Born to Birth. What?
Birth by Sleep.
Birth by Sleep. Yeah, there. Yeah, that's it. Man, you gotta check this out. Yeah, I'd probably be dragging. Honestly, I'd be the guy that drags people into the creepypasta.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, well, misery enjoys company.
Death enjoys. So, I do think it would make a little bit more sense if the character wasn't written and explained that he is sensitive to creepy stuff.
Yeah.
Because if he was way into creepy stuff, then it explains why he just stays in the whole time.
Yeah.
Because he's into this sort of thing.
That's fair. Yeah. But going into my next one here, this is when Sora's the Sora cinematic kind of thing happens. The scene zooms in on Sora's face as he says, "The bow is breaking, Andrew. Are you strong enough?" I was sweating now. How did Sora know my name? How did the hacker know my name? Well, maybe the guy who you bought the game off from eBay from on eBay did some mild browsing on your of your user account. Maybe cross-referenced on Facebook or social media of the same account, name, and then did a quick mod to have it say your name to further freak you out. You've just been punked, sir. Wait,
much, yeah.
Why am I the one proposing the mundane explanation for this one?
Yep, I'll just remove that from my notes. You don't need to talk about that anymore, because cultists did it for some reason. That's
weird.
2020, man, everything's weird.
Yeah, everything's topsy-turvy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys hear that Yellowstone is getting earthquakes? So the super volcano is having hiccups?
Yes.
Yeah, God. Anyway, moving on. Actually, here's what?
Pepto-Bismol.
What was that?
I'm saying the volcano needs Pepto-Bismol or Tums or something.
Nausea, hotboard, indigestion, upset stomach, eruptions. Hey, Techno-Bismol. Techno-Bismol. Come on. All right. Anyway, going on to my next quote here. Riku stops short and exits out of the combat stance. He looks at Xehanort with what seems to be pity. Then he turns and looks at me directly. The cradle will fall and deteriorate everything. Rico says to me, all you know will cease to exist, and so will you. Eat it, Arby's. That was some nihilistic shit going on, or some like some existential horror, like nihilistic shit going on in this story, and I kind of like that. But like, yeah, I just had to add in that "Eat it, Arby's."
I was gonna say, Eat at Arby's was not actually in the story.
No, it wasn't.
You should just mention that.
No, yeah, I should. Yeah, I just had to add that into it because, like, also I could really go for some Arby's right now, guys.
Yeah.
The next one here. Instead of the usually rock sketches and rock textures, one would expect the rock face was replaced with organic muscle-looking matter. It was most likely just red color modifications. Okay, you either believe this game is a hack or you don't. Like, you just gave a logical explanation that deflates your supposed freakout moments ago about the subject at hand. Like,
well, okay, one way or another, the wall is in a video game, so it's just 3D models and shit. But you're right, because when he first describes the wall, it sounds more hyper realistic.
Like,
but
muscle,
then
like,
after the fact,
yes,
but then after the fact, he just says it's the rock tinted red.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't look like muscle. It looks like rock tinted red. It's like Mars.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like kind of self-deflating his own, like his horror, like the creepiness by counteracting the description of the creepy description you just gave us.
Unless it's the character trying to rationalize things and make it less creepy for himself.
Oh, that's true, because he is kind of a wimp. I say in like not derogatory terms.
Of course,
when it comes to horror,
he's not into being creeped out.
Yeah, he was all for playing a child's video game, like a family-friendly kind of child's video game, and what he got was a creepypasta hack.
Yeah. Well, my issue with this is that it on its own it deflates the sort of creepiness anyway, because everything's covered in gore.
Yeah, that's true. Like the intestines like dripped everywhere.
Yeah. Strewn across the rock face. There's an organic intestines. Like,
honestly, what that reminds me of is from Gears 4 and 5 with the new swarm with like their whole like organic tendrils and like tubes everywhere. But yeah.
Sure. I don't know.
That's fair. Sorry.
I haven't been Gears in a while.
Is Gears creepy?
It has some moments.
But is the textures of the intestine like appendages creepy?
I
Yes.
Alright.
was gonna say, even if you said no, you're desensitized to this shit, while this character is...
No, I get it. I get you. I got your point. All right. So, I guess we'll move on to the next one. So there was only one option. And then there's just a string of binary that, Mikey, do you know what it says?
I'm assuming you looked
I tried.
that up.
I tried looking it up, but all the binary converters that I was using were not working.
There was actually a thing of binary?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Really?
On the wiki or the fan fiction, it just says there's binary, and it doesn't actually have it.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Okay,
and this is what I get
this
for
is why
having.
We read one version.
Well, I'm sorry. The version I the original version I was given, you can't pull quotes from, so I had to hunt down another one that was the same. I thought I did a job I did a cursory job of making sure that they were the same, like the same thing. So
they weren't the same.
Well, here
I'm just saying, like, the intro is different. There's no chapter differences like laid out. Plus, there's no binary apparently.
All right,
and whatever else we're missing. I'm just saying, in hindsight, or sorry, in the future, when you have two versions like this and one is copyable and one isn't, just do the copyable one.
I'll just send you guys the Google Doc next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a here. I'll put it in.
To him.
Oh, you sent it to him? Okay.
And I'm currently working on it.
What's that thing?
Processing. just the old AOL like thing going on.
Oh, yeah, have
Dial
fun
tone.
recreating that with your.
Yeah. 3 days later.
His body was found 2 days later.
2 days later.
The other murder happened 2 years later or earlier.
2 years before.
Goes back in time.
I've got the first word is the.
Cool.
It took that long to get the.
Yep.
It's almost like binary is
Binary
not
is ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh, now it's just gonna be like nursery rhyme.
Oh God, you're right. Yeah, it's probably just gonna be like the bow breaks or like the cradle will fall.
Yeah.
Actually, it's looking like it's the cradle. Since you mentioned that, just doing some confirmation. That's it. It's the move called the cradle.
Ah.
It just says the cradle.
Okay.
The whole thing only says 2 words.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, again, gamer, like, yeah, that's 100%. Like that's how binary works. It's a lot of ones and zeros to make like very simple words.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't write a sentence in binary because it will be like a page.
Yep.
Yes, it sure seems like it.
But yeah, that's all I had for my note for that. It was just like I tried looking it up like like using a converter of some kind online, but like it just for some reason they weren't operating. So I was like, I just in my notes, Mikey, what is this? as our resident demon and IT and binary converter, you speak, droid. All right, on to my next one. Xehanort then lifts his keyblade into the air, and with an insane chuckle that sounds suspiciously like a man from real life, swung his weapon. You mean like the voice actor in the booth doing the sound effect of the chuckle? Like, pretty sure that's how that works. Like,
I think what he's getting at is it doesn't sound like the voice actor that they got to play the character in the game.
That is true. He does reference that later, where like it sounds like you can hear like some of the other sounds like around the person. Like it wasn't Xehanort's voice. It was somebody who had been added like unprofessionally. So yeah, that's probably what that meant.
No, it's just there's a guy behind him laughing at the same time.
It's the guy who hacked this whole thing. He's actually been like hiding, like he's just like hiding hiding either in the room or like just outside the window of his house. See, honestly, I thought that was gonna have a little bit more like significance. Like, oh, I recognize that voice. It's a person I know, like kind of thing. And then it turns out that the person that gave him the game is also the person that killed him and stuff like that. So, but no, that didn't happen. Moving on. The camera then enters cutscene mode, while I myself take the time to vomit all over the floor. Okay, at this point, you're not vomiting, you're dry heaving. This is like the third time you vomited.
Hey man, he may have had a big breakfast.
Maybe. But I'm just saying, like, he vomits a lot in the story.
Yes.
Next one here. It depicted the remains of a boy's body that had been shattered due to a long fall. The brain matter and blood were spread out along what looked like grass. That's when I see it. Across from the body was a broken remains of a baby's cradle. The photo then disappears as another one takes its place. It's the same picture, but shot from a different angle. A tree branch is visible, and next to the branch was the body's face. It's my face! With a loud scream, I throw my PSP across the room as it hits the wall with a wham. Okay, so to me, this was actually kind of a good reveal. At this point, like as I was reading the story and like reading the gameplay, and like this whole like nursery puzzle that was going on, I'm thinking were I in this situation, I would probably have gotten very far. I probably would have gotten pretty far before telling somebody that I got this creepypasta video game hack. But more to my point, So like if I was in this situation, up until now, I'd have been thinking, oh, okay, this is probably some kind of a hack. Maybe the dude was a creeper and found my name to put in the code somehow, like before sending it off. And then when we get to this part, that's about when my stomach would be churning, with fear and dread. And so like, and it's not because of any kind of like supernatural thing. I'm just thinking like this stalker / creeper has gone way too far and photoshopped my head into this scene or something. And like, yeah, I just found myself like, yeah, like that's where my head was at when I read this part, and like why I think this is actually a good like moment in the story, because like you're reading the story up to this point, and then this is when the ball actually drops with it actually being a threat to the player. It's almost kind of where this story like kind of doesn't fall into the pitfalls of other video game creepypastas where nothing really happens after you play the game. You just kind of get like a existential dread, or like some kind of a tragic sadness for like the characters you're killing in the game. Like that's the usual end of a video game creepypasta, certainly for like Pokepastas. But for this one, there's actually a threat now introduced at the end, with a reveal, and I think that actually makes it a really decent ending part. But yeah, so that's just where I was coming from with this, this part of the story. And then my next one here is kind of ruins that a little bit, because it's right after this. It's right after that part, that reveal. My curiosity gets the better of me as I get up and wade through my own vomit, finally ending up next to the screen. As it floats by, said vomit. Like, are you?
That's waist deep at
Did
this
you
point.
upchuck it that much that you had to wade through it? Like, it just kind of ruins the creepy revelation I just read that I liked. As I'm just envisioning, like him in galoshes going, wading through, like like yeah, like it just ruined it. Like that imagery.
So
The
much
part that it ruined
vomit.
for me, yeah, pretty much. The part that ruined for me is just the fact that he's been vomiting all over the floor.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you suddenly vomit once, but you go back to play the game, you grab a bucket.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
You're expecting to vomit more.
Yeah, you add in that, like, after I was finished cleaning up the vomit I dropped to like, and
Yeah.
like had a bucket on standby. Like, even I think there was another story that we did like not too long ago, that like where the character kept vomiting. Oh, it was the Jack the Ripper one, where they had a bucket. They at least had the sense to have a bucket on standby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then we get to the very last like part of the story, and I'm sorry guys, I have to read this entire paragraph or two, because there's just so much I found wrong with it. So here we are. The note ends here. 2 days after the incident, local police agencies found the remains of the body of Andrew Doe by a tree outside of his house. An autopsy revealed that the cause of death had been due to an impact that crushed all of his internal organs. Since there were no witnesses and no evidence to support the possibility of murder, the case was deemed a suicide and closed indefinitely. 2 years prior to the incident, a 30-year-old man was arrested for killing his 18-year-old son by tying him to the inside of a wooden cradle and pushing him off the roof of their home. The child had died upon impact with the ground. The father was given the death penalty. The mother of the child disappeared and was never found. Okay. Here are my 3 things that I thought was wrong with that whole thing. Fall from a tree would not have caused all of your internal organs to be crushed, unless it was maybe a redwood tree. Like, ugh. Second issue. They wouldn't chalk it up to suicide and call it a day. Like, call it case closed. Not with the lack of evidence with the lack of evidence, it would be at best a suspected suicide, but the case would remain open and unsolved until, somebody solved it. Like,
I do have a counterpoint.
Okay.
I live in Derpland.
Fuck. Damn it. You're right.
Shit.
On to my next point. An 18-year-old person is not a child. They are a young adult.
I mean, it's all frame of mind. I'm still
sorry.
a
child. But like, it just, I don't know. That part really irked me. It's just like, you kept reference, like, maybe if it was like their child, because that way, like, their child, like, to the person, like that context, like the use of their instead of the child, the context changes a little bit. But yeah, and just like the mother of the child or the child had died from an impact of the ground with the ground. It's like, I'm sorry, an 18-year-old kid is considered a young adult, like in most cases, not you don't just use a child. But yeah,
even using the word kid is stretching it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Child is like, that's really
14?
stretching it.
I would consider it like age 14 and under a child. Maybe 15, maybe 16, but after 16, you're a young adult.
Well, if you have teen in your name, then you're a kid at least. You're past childhood. You're a teenager at that point.
Yeah, I guess. You're a youth. You're a teen. Even a teenager would have worked better. Like teen.
Yeah, it would.
The teenager. Yeah. Or the teen, yeah. So yeah, that's the end of my actual thoughts. I was just like, that last paragraph was kind of like the last like coffin on this thing. It's like, okay, I have read through a lot of typos. I was kind of getting a little bored with the gameplay, even though it was really really varied and like dynamic. Like I was kind of like just hoping, like I was just like, all right, let's continue the story. Let's get to the creepy part. And then this last like paragraph or two after the character gets killed off and like the note is found and stuff. It was just like, this makes no fucking sense to me. What the fuck did I just read? And now I know, because this all took place in Derpland.
Makes sense now, doesn't it?
Damn it.
It makes sense why the cops are inept.
Yeah. Mikey, your actual thoughts. I'm out. Mic drop? I just walk away.
Get all the way to the outro. It's like, I guess we'll do it. So if you liked it, leave a...
Not so easy, is it, gamer?
Like.
But no, anyway, Mikey,
how did I do this?
Mikey, do you have anything, or what do you have for actual thoughts?
All right, so I have two that haven't been touched on yet.
All right.
So the first one, I have a quote here. Well, I was on eBay and I had found a copy of the final mix edition of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep.
I thought this was the other mix. Sorry.
Seeing as I only have the original version, which I've beaten 10 times over, I decided to take a look. To which my response is, why?
Disposable income.
Well, but I looked up the differences between the original version and the final mix, and from what I can tell, there's a couple cutscenes and a special hidden episode for Aqua.
So
there you go.
There you go. That's why somebody would buy that. Yeah.
But
there's someone who's like way into the series.
Yeah.
But this guy has played the original game 10 times over.
Yeah.
And to beat the main story, because I looked this up, it takes at least 20 hours. Yeah. So he's played this game for over 200 hours. And
that's freaking nothing.
Mikey,
I don't know how many hours I have in Warframe.
Okay.
I can actually give a better example of this. I have played Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask probably about 10 times over already.
Okay.
I have also bought the game for the GameCube and the 3DS.
But the question is, would you buy it again just for one cutscene and a little bit more gameplay?
Yes. I just said I bought it for the GameCube, which, mind you, was a port, but the 3DS version of the Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time do have slight differences in them, and I bought them.
Let me say this, Mikey: if Andrew has played this game 10 times, he is way into the series.
Yeah, he is.
Those
He
are
is
the people that will
wading
buy
through the
all
series.
time. Yeah.
I just don't understand.
I understand where you're coming from because like it does seem absurd. At the same time, fans are called fans because they're obsessive over a game. Fans is short for fanatic.
You see, us humans, you are a space demon of unknown origin, but us humans, when we get like way into something, we get way into something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Like, if you want the whole collection of everything, you're gonna get the whole collection of everything, even if it's slightly different. Anyone who is like way into Street Fighter, Street Fighter always comes out, and then there's always another version, and another version, and then another version, and they keep buying them because they're way into the series, even though each version only adds like a map and 2 characters.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Even like I recently like heard about like somebody who bought the same, who has at least 4 or 5 different collections of the same anime because they all have different like soundtracks or like commentary and what have you in them. So like it doesn't have to make sense as long as you have the money and the fanaticism for the product. You're gonna buy it again and again and again. That's how Skyrim and Bethesda has been making its money.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this: the very first line is like he straight up says,
"Die-hard fan."
The very first line says, "Hi, my name is Andrew Doe. I'm 18, and I've been a die-hard Kingdom Hearts fan since the day since the day the game came out in 2001." So right off the bat, you know that the character's hardcore into the series.
Yeah, like I agree with you. It's ridiculous, but at the same time, I understand where the person's coming from.
That's why we're fighting you for 10 minutes on this.
Yes.
Probably move on.
We should. So, what is your other issue with the story?
All right. My other one is a quote here that was brought up earlier for, I think, grammar, but it also has a different issue.
Okay.
By the time he's directly near the cave entrance, the whole screen becomes staticky, finally becoming nothing but static. Entering another loading screen, the static remaining throughout. So, my thought process here, if the screen is nothing but static, how do you know that it's entering another loading screen?
Yeah.
Because it stayed at static for a long time, which he's assuming is a loading screen. And then when the static started fading away, like he's writing this after the
Static was the loading screen.
He's writing this after the fact, so he's probably writing this down after the loading screen static happened.
That's true, yeah.
Unless this is where the game becomes Candle Cove.
Oh God. Yeah, it's a Candle Cove situation.
Possible.
Calliope music starts playing. That's what the music is. It's not like it's he keeps calling it demonic. It's just Calliope music. It's just. This kid Andrew just like goes to his mom. Like, I'm gonna go play with Kingdom Hearts the other mix in my room with my PSP mom, and that's when I creaked open the door and looked at like what he was playing. He was just looking at a static on his PSP. He must have really liked the Kingdom Hearts game. I hate that I like that idea. I hate that I'm making fun of that, but at the same time, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Somebody playing static on a PSP and like actually think they're playing a game. God damn it.
Candle Cove in the new age.
How did you make this better? How?
Just move. His move is to make things better or worse.
Yeah.
Depending on the day.
No, it's not Candle Cove though. This is the video game version, so it's called Cradle Cove.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I'm out.
All right.
Cultist has left the party. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are my 2 other thoughts.
Okay.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, chapter 1 because these are chaptered.
Yes, we know.
Yeah. So right when I started reading, I started writing a note that we get the name, age, and get a reason why the narrator is jotting all this down. This is a good start.
Mm-hmm.
He says he's putting it down as a testament in case anything happens to him in the near future. We understand the context of this whole note because it sounded like from the get-go, like, okay, he's writing this down as a freaking warning. So I'm assuming he's alive by the end, but he gets killed by the end. So the intro is kind of, it conflicts with what happens at the end.
Unless he wrote that before and then he got killed before he could finish the note.
But then how's the note online?
There's somebody else. Somebody else seems to have posted it because if like at the very end, there's that note. It's like that's where the note ends. Then all this stuff happened like to him, and then like also 2 years prior, this happened. So somebody else, not Andrew, has posted this online.
I mean, that'd be fine, but I wish that there was an intro saying that.
Yeah, I almost kind of wish like at the very end, it's like that's where the note ends. Hi, my name's Jane Doe, Andrew's sister.
Harry Henderson, actually.
Yeah. Derek Green.
Oh, jeez.
It's in Dublin.
Oh, God. I'm a cop, I guess. I don't know. I'm not very good at it.
I'm a detective. Yay! This kid died. It's best day ever.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yes. Moving on though. So he opens up the game box, and there's a note in it. When the darkness swallows all, be sure not to fall into its void. Keep your mind, you'll keep your life. At the moment, I wrote down, I do hope that the note is returned to and has importance, but after reading it all, I don't think it really came into effect at all.
This okay.
Didn't take any words from it and use it again. He sort of references it midway through the story.
Yeah, with Riku and Sora, but not really with the other characters, or kind of with the other characters. Yeah,
no, I just feel like the note is saying keep your mind and you'll live through this, but he doesn't take consideration with any of his actions. He just plays it out and gets killed.
Yeah, like he does technically keep his mind up until the very end. I guess because he shattered the game, like the PSP. That's what when he forfeited his life.
Well, if he just stayed chill and just played the game, it's like, okay, that was weird. Moving on.
Yep. And then I survived. Yeah.
I'll buy that. Buy that for $3. So then I have an end of chapter 1 notes. Okay. Basically, just my positive thoughts on the first chapter, because the visuals were written well, to the point that like I had a good idea of everything that was being displayed, even though I've never played any of the games, but it was described so well that I had a very clear visual.
Yeah, that is actually... Yeah, sorry.
All I looked up was the 3 main characters and the select screen, because those seemed prevalent, but everything else was very well described. So it did that well, where most other video game creepypastas, they leave it pretty light, assuming that you're already a diehard fan because you're reading a creepypasta about the specific video game.
Yeah, exactly. And not just like, well, hi, I've heard this game. I think I like this. I might like this game. I'm just going to read this creepypasta about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like me.
Pretty much. Then I moved on to chapter 2, The Figure, because all the chapters are actually titled too, Mikey.
Yeah.
Blank Game, The Figure, and The Fallen Cradle.
Yep.
So number 2, it's talking about sprites and all that. It says the scene zooms in on what appears to be a total shadow, their figure obscured from view. The shadow in question looks like it's using Terra's sprite model. So here's the thing. Sprites are 2D textures.
Yeah.
And this scene in the normal game has 3D models for the characters.
Yeah, so it should have gone with like models, not sprites.
Yes. And sprites is repeated a couple other times to the point that I thought it was going to be constantly saying it. So I started a list of mentions of sprites and if it's okay or not. The first one is sprites as blood. That's possible because that would be basically particle effects that fall out of the character, not 3D rendered blood, but just like an alpha'd image that comes out like repeatedly.
Yeah.
Then the 3D character model though, no.
Yeah.
Then at one point it says there's sprites of eyes in the background. That could be okay if they're flat textures, but if they're 3D shapes, then no.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's all the mention of sprites, so I didn't have to make a huge list. Like
So
I thought I
suddenly
was.
your list became a lot more small.
I figured I'd go over it anyways.
No, that's fair. No, honestly, that's because it does reference sprites, and I was like, I don't. It was that like Princess Bride quote. It's like, you keep using that word. I don't not think you know what that means.
Yeah, a little bit. It only messed up once, so it's fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next quote is, then the scene moved to the figure's back, as an information bar showing your current objective hovered over the screen. And I couldn't believe what it said. Kill them. At this point, I practically shat a brick. This was some freaky shit. Freaky it may be, but like the wording of shitting a brick kind of messed with the mood and the feel of this moment.
And that's a recurring thing in this story. Like, like when something horrific happens, and he's like, I then took the time while it was loading. I took the time to vomit all over or like that
loading
really cool
screen was my vomit break.
Yeah. Or like that, or like at the end, like I mentioned, like the reveal is actually really cool and creepy. Like him, like finding like that he's been either photoshopped or that it is his head, on the body and stuff like that. But then, like, we follow that up with him wading through vomit to get to the screen. Like it just ruins it.
It's a hilarious visual.
Yeah.
With how like dark and gory the actual game is, I kind of wish the characters stayed serious the whole time.
Yeah,
because it would keep the mood there instead of it being, spiking a little bit.
Yeah, or without it just contradicting itself and like deflating the tension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm 100% behind that.
Then we get to the fight with Riku and Sora, and they're using wooden swords and all that, which they do actually use in the game. I think it's like in the tutorial and shit.
Yeah.
But, it's to the end where like Riku like stabs himself with the sword, the wooden sword.
I
don't know if you could just one shot impale yourself on a wooden sword like that. To be honest,
I actually spent about a paragraph of a note that I actually removed from my notes because when I kept thinking about it, I was like, I guess it might be possible to stake yourself. Because I have heard of people getting, because it's basically the sword. It's like what it looks like is it's basically like a fence post, like a pointed fence post, and I have seen people get impaled on those. Mind you, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that people have gotten impaled on those. Mind you, they have the help of gravity.
Yeah.
So that would take a lot of effort to impale yourself, like to thrust a wooden like sword, like a wooden like fence post, basically through you.
Plus, these characters are kids, I believe.
Yeah, I think what I chalked it up to is that it's a video game.
Yes, I was about to go there next.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's a video game, so who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. If this was a story about crap happening in real life, and a guy had a wooden sword and stabbed himself just one shot, just straight through to the hilt, then I would be fighting it more. But it's in a video game, and it's there just for shock value, so that's fine.
Yep.
Ish.
We'll give it a pass.
Fine. I had a note.
Yeah.
Then in the final chapter, I'll get to this part. Aqua and Ventus look at each other, then back to me, then back to each other, then back to me. Sadly, they aren't me. But if they gave into the darkness, they could kill like me.
Anything's possible when you're Xehanort.
Exactly.
And actually, that's kind of funny because Xehanort, I think, does like part of his shtick is that he like possesses people. So, so they can be like him.
That's true.
I think I'm not, again. I'm only like cursorily like I'm only like casually like adjacent to the Kingdom Hearts like fandom, so I'm not 100% sure on things there. But
considering he apparently looks like Terra in the game,
I think he's possessing Terra in this game.
That's what I mean. Because his character model looks like him, he probably just possessed him in the story.
Yeah, gotcha.
But
yeah, I like the Old Spice commercial. I like that.
I like putting that in when it's fitting. We'll do it a couple times.
The other mix commercial.
Pretty much.
Anyway.
Next one. The area where the head once stood began to explode with blood in small parts as the entire body slumps to the ground lifelessly. Xehanort chuckles again, giving the body a push with his right foot. The body rolls off the platform and into the chasm to join the head that adorned it. This is becoming really offensive. Kingdom Hearts was not some bloody samurai action flick. It was a children's game. I think this became really offensive long time ago. Like the character's a little bit late to the party here.
Yeah, his reaction is a little delayed.
I'm pretty sure as soon as he like exploded Sora into like bloody chunks, he should be like,
I'm sorry? What?
It's one thing that the objective said kill them, but as soon as they exploded into blood, that's probably where I would put that quote.
Yeah.
About this is not some bloody samurai action flick, because that was also during a fight scene.
Yeah.
And then later on in the fight, when he's fighting Aqua, I managed to dodge all the shards but one. And then I feel it, a sharp pain in my mind, just when the shard connected. I was worried for my life, but I just had to keep on going. Yeah, as soon as I read that, I'm like, oh, there's real life impact in this. Goody. However, it didn't continue, so.
Yeah, and in fact, the real life thing was, in fact, like completely different. Like it wasn't again. It could have been chalked up to not being something supernatural.
Well, that's the thing. We're not there yet, but when we get there, it's like we don't know what happens because it gets cut out.
Yep. Because
it could be something through the game that happened after he looked at the screen, and then it affected him more. But we don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, at that point, there's real life impact happening while he's playing the game, which is what I like from video game creepypastas, where you can't just shut it off and that's fine. And like the danger isn't just you being spooked. There's some physical problems that can happen to you through playing the game.
Yeah, sorry, I just had
getting hit a whole bunch by her. I'm assuming he would have just died in real life.
Yeah, it's possible. I just had a horrible realization that connects the. I can't believe I just connected this. So this actually might have taken another keynote from Ben Drowned, in that, the what if the game is actually like the ghost of the 18-year-old from like the previous thing, and the mother who vanished is the eBay user who sold it to him, or sold it to Andrew. Like the old man sold the Ben Drowned game to the narrator from that creepypasta.
Why would the game be the kid?
Well, because the dad killed the kid by tying him up in a cradle and throwing him off the roof. What if that, like, I don't know, like I might be connecting a few more dots than there actually are dots, but then like the ghost got like trapped in the UMD in the disc of this game, and then the mother vanished away with all the stuff after the dad was like sentenced to death, and tried to get rid of it because it was a haunted game.
Wouldn't she want to keep it though, because it's all she has left of her child?
Unless she's being tormented by it and she's trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Again, I might be crazy with a string board, but
I can see where you're coming from 100%. That's possible. Because otherwise, what the hell's the point of the ending?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just cluing in now because I think I'm like trying to draw, like, because I did see a lot of Ben Drowned in this story, like just some of the tropes in it, and just how it's kind of written, like not some of the, obviously not the stuff where like the statue comes out in the real world and attack and is stalking the character, but like just some of the gameplay notes and stuff like that of like things being weird and wrong. But yeah, I might just be the crazy guy with a cork board full of like red string everywhere at like different points, like from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But yeah,
a little bit. But we will continue. So when this is happening, he's going through and killing the three main characters, and like giving them fatalities at the end, basically, and commenting on how disgusted and vomit-inducing each fatality is when they happen. And then But that just made me think, like, clearly this guy doesn't play Mortal Kombat because he would be desensitized to video game gore at this point.
Yeah. After like his
Really?
15th vomit session from playing a round of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, because a lot of the things that are said are either extremely tame Mortal Kombat fatalities, or they're just exactly Mortal Kombat fatalities.
Yeah.
Like when he lifts one of them above their head and like rips them in half. Pretty sure Baraka does that, like with his claws.
Yeah, and doesn't like Goro do the other do the bear hug or something like that and breaks the person's spine?
Yeah, I think he like pops their head off with the force of it or something weird like that. But yeah,
Yep.
Mortal Kombat is like the Simpsons did it of fatalities, of like deaths. Because honestly, if there's a certain type of death to a character, odds are Mortal Kombat did it too.
Yeah.
They've had so many games and so many fatalities over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last little string of notes are in regards to the ending.
Yay.
We're almost done. So, in the story, and then it just stops. And it kind of confused me because I thought all of this was written as a past experience.
Yeah.
He said he was putting the info up as a warning to others. So, like, why does it switch to current and just stop? I'm confused.
It's like that Monty Python sketch. Is like, and then Andrew Doe had a heart attack. I'm just like, after he's like, while he's writing the story or animating the bunny or the killer monster.
100%, yeah. So yeah, because of how it stopped, I just don't understand. Like, maybe it's possible that this entire story has been a journal entry situation.
I think
Not
that's probably what
him sitting down and writing down an entire essay on what happened to him. It's not laid out in a journal entry, so it doesn't feel like a journal entry.
Yeah, and then like it just ends with like the note ends here, and it's like, oh, there's somebody else that was posted this. Like, who's this person?
Yeah, like considering I've read this entire story, I'm confused, and I shouldn't be confused, knowing all the information I do up to this point.
Yeah.
So if there's an intro saying like, I'm a friend of Andrew. My name is Larry Henderson, and I found my friend's notes after he was killed, and I'm gonna put them online as a warning to those out there, so they could stay away from any game like this. Then boom, share the story.
Also, interesting fact: 2 years prior to Andrew's death, there was this other guy who was 18 who was killed in a cradle and blah, blah. Like. Just like, yeah, like that, even that random bit at the end is like, I guess there was some significance to it, like tied to the game. I guess maybe that was a connection to the, like, who sold the game to Andrew?
I don't know.
But like, yeah, exactly. We don't know. Like, and there's no real like connective tissue there that I saw.
I'll get onto that though.
Okay.
So
cool.
that's just in regards to it stopping. And then in regards to him dying. So PSP essentially that he was playing saw into the future and had a picture set up in the game of him dying, and then he died in that exact manner.
I guess, but
magic.
But the death happened 2 years prior to his death.
No, the picture was a picture of him dead on the ground, exactly.
No, I know
how
that was
he died in real life 2 days later.
So like.
Oh, that night, and then 2 days later, his body was found, or something.
God, because I know another thing about Kingdom Hearts is that there's a lot of like clones and copies of each other. So like, was Andrew a clone? And like, he died twice technically.
No, what I'm trying to say is the PSP, through the weird magic that's in it, because there is something magic in it. It's not really explored very well.
Yeah, to the point where
see into the future and showed him a clip of how he's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And he did die that exact manner. I don't think that was photoshopped. I think that was an actual picture of his dead corpse that's soon to happen.
What is with this? What is with this? I'm the one that's siding with the mundane. You're siding with the supernatural.
We're opposites, man. That's just how it is. That's how it is every single time.
It's not just every single time.
Where they are.
Yeah. It's so weird, but like, yeah. I mean, like, I don't just mean like that's weird, like why we're contrary to each other. I mean, like, it's weird, like, you know, like that, like this game, I guess, has like some kind of fortune telling thing that wasn't really brought up at or explored at all in the course of this entire story. So it kind of like
fortune telling wasn't, but the magic, quote unquote, of it was, because when he got hit, he felt it in real life.
Yeah,
in real life.
yeah.
So there's something going on. Just
honestly, like,
not explored.
I felt honestly that part was like really kind of like way too subtle. Like for it could have just been a coincidence.
I wish he got it. I was really hoping he was going to get hit in the next fight.
Yeah,
Or was that the last fight? That might have been the last fight.
that was the last fight. But or he if he'd gotten hit more and he started feeling a little bit more, then yes, I might start siding with okay. So this is some kind of supernatural thing. But like honestly, there wasn't enough evidence for me to jump to that conclusion on this one.
No, I just wish it did continue with it, because that would have made it really interesting. Like, she sent out a fireball, hit me, and then my shoulder felt really hot. I looked up and there was a burn there.
Yeah, there's like a massive like a heat burn or a sunburn there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Like that would have been good, but like there's not enough in this story for that.
No, not at all.
At least not till the very end, where it's just like, oh, weird. All right, we're done.
Speaking of the very end, the police report. So he was killed, and then there's talk of 2 years ago something similar happened, but the mother got away, and that has to do something with this somehow for some
Maybe
reason.
the mother is behind that, like we said earlier with the eBay purchase.
Well, I know, I get that, but
No,
like,
yeah.
what's the importance of that?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to at a glance, it doesn't seem to have any kind of real bearing other than it's the same death.
Even if it is the mother that got away, and her son is trapped in the game and she's tormented by it, so she sold it to some poor kid to kill him, then it doesn't really add anything to the story.
Yeah,
The story could have just ended where it says his notes ended, before the out of story section, and I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, honestly, I think it would have been better there, or even like where like I mean, I still don't really care for it, but like the first paragraph at the end after the notes end, like where the murder it wasn't there was no doesn't support the possibility of a murder, so it was deemed a suicide and closed indefinitely. There, done. The 2 year prior incident like just seems to muddle things way too much.
Yeah, and that was my problem with this whole outro. It's just everything was going pretty well, and then just started tripping over itself, and like it just hit me repeatedly with I'm confused. Okay, now I'm more confused. Okay, I'm even more confused now. Like,
and it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But on to recommendations at that point.
Yes, on to the final thoughts and recommendations. There was more evidence in this story to suggest a hacked game and a conspiracy to prank and murder than anything kind of supernatural. Like we kind of just brought up, we just brought it up. There was not enough connective tissue, even by the end, for me to even like leap to that. And I find that disturbing that I couldn't bring that. I was like siding with the mundane angle. The mundane, conspiracy to murder. How mundane?
So you're not going to be like
how mundane.
So you're not going to be the review gamer, and you're going to be the cultist in yellow. That's just how it's going to be.
The gameplay battles were actually described in a varied way. That I appreciated that. Though, despite aside from like the graphic descriptions of like how they died and stuff like that, nothing was really ever actually kind of scary in this story to me. I honestly liked the like Riku and Sora like looking at Andrew like through the camera and like giving off some existential like nihilistic like philosophy was creepier than like the big like than the epic fight at the end, and then like Zoe just throwing the bodies into the abyss and then like killing himself and all that. I was like, what the fuck is like, this isn't really that scary. It's just like what's going on, like, and that was all kind of just led up to the very end part where I honestly found myself getting bored and tired. And then the ending just sort of was the final nail in the coffin. of the story where I was just like, all right, I'm done. That was an experience. that was a reading experience. I mean, this was obviously this person's like first creepypasta, like, and they wanted to tell a video game creepypasta. They probably, I'm assuming, and I know what that means, but I feel like they read a bunch of video game creepypastas and like decided, hey, I can write one of these, and like good on them for getting to write. But I hate to say this, guys, despite the good spots that I liked in the story, I can't recommend this one. It was kind of a blah, like it was a blah kind of like creepypasta to me. And I don't like saying that because like I want to encourage somebody to keep writing if this is like their first kind of like foray into like writing a creepypasta. But yeah, like I don't think I'd be able to recommend this one. So
Fair enough.
That's my grammar positions as I just slink back into a depression. Or into a guilt. Mikey, you're up.
Alright, let's see here. Well, the issue that I have is the issue that comes up with a lot of video game creepypastas, which is that there's not really many repercussions in the real world.
I'm sorry?
Except,
died?
well, until it gets to the end, like, and
Yeah.
the shard affecting a pang in his head. But what we get is a bunch of stuff happening in the video game world, and that doesn't really do much of anything. And then him vomiting enough to be able to wade through it, and then dying at the end, but dying off screen.
Okay, so here's my thing on this. I feel like the most of the story, like to counter that a little bit. Sorry to do that, but
Seems to be what we do.
yeah, weird. I feel like the majority of the story was trying to grasp at a puzzle, like that nursery rhyme puzzle, and like we do kind of get a resolution to it at the end when it was like, but like we also kind of don't because we don't know who did it, or like was it supernatural, or was somebody like waiting off in the wings, waiting to like grab him and kill him when he finished the game, kind of thing. To me, you're partially right there, Mikey. Like nothing really happens, but at the same time, like most of the story was leading up to what the consequences, which was he finished the game, freaked out, and then got killed. That's the consequences of this video game creepypasta, which is better than most video game creepypastas that we have read, where like it's nothing happens to the player itself; it's just all in game.
Like every Pokemon one.
Yeah, exactly. Like the majority of Pokepastas and such, like do that kind of thing where like the player is fine physically. They're just maybe mentally scarred a little bit, and because of that, it's like what you said. It doesn't really go anywhere, and there's no real consequences. But in this story, it does give you a little bit of a consequence just at the end, and so you have to like get through the journey before you can get to the destination. For that
huge consequence, he fucking died.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like the consequence.
A little bit of a consequence.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Please continue.
No, I'm good. I'm done.
Jesus Christ.
No. I didn't mean that like in like a derogatory thing. I just mean like that's all I had to say. It was just like I kind of got him. I know where Mikey's coming from, but at the same time, like there is consequence in this game, in this story. It's just right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and my other issue is that it took a really long time to get to the consequences. Like I was about halfway through the story and I just wanted it to end.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of with you on that. I definitely was just like, just come on, when's the story either gonna get good or end? Like,
you guys must have hated reading Baraska and
no, like I don't know maybe I did read this at night, like while I was kind of like waiting for other things to happen, like other things in real life. So I was like, I might have just been getting like tired. I don't know, like because I do appreciate the varied, like I was cognizant enough to appreciate the varying like types of like battle we get, because like the battles aren't just the same thing like over and over again. They do have tactics to them, which I thought was interesting. I was just getting kind of like tired from reading it. I don't know. I feel really shitty right now, guys. Is what I'm saying about my condemnation of the story, but like that's how I feel. So
the point there is that, to me, it overstayed its welcome. On like, it kept describing more and more scenes in the video game, and yes, there were a few things that happened in real life, like the vomiting and the spike to the head.
yeah,
But there wasn't enough of that to keep me interested. Like, if I wasn't reading this for this show, I would have stopped partway through just out of sheer boredom.
yeah. Like this whole, I think this is also like the whole time I was reading this, it like there was, because there was no like nothing really happening to the character. I was just like, so you just have a hacked game. Like I think that's where my angle of like, this is just a hacked game this guy has was coming from. Is this like there's no, wasn't a, maybe that's where you're coming from there, Mikey. Is that like it's just really mundane, like this encounter or this situation, and so it's not exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that, I can't recommend this story.
Fair enough. Gamer.
Okay, so for me, when I was reading through it, I get to the end, and my thought at that point is just like, man, it was going so well.
Yeah.
Like the intro worked well. The whole gameplay scenario was described well. It had action, gore, real life gore added in for shock value, which you didn't actually mention in your. You guys didn't mention at all, actually, and neither did I. The like real life pictures of people being mutilated.
I did mention in the rundown. Like there was some like instead of the images on the cave, there was on the cave wall. It was like a real photo.
Yeah, but like
we don't address it at all. We really did not address it.
There's an entire like pathway made of pictures of real people being murdered.
Oh right, yeah.
There was a whole bunch of real life gore added into it for shock value as well. And there's a tie-in for a real life effect potentially that he could get hurt by playing the game, and then the ending happens. So, and it's just confusing, as I said. I just I don't know what it's trying to get across with the ending, because the whole story is laid out in past tense. Then it shifts to present tense because he's forced to stop writing because he died, and then it goes to an article with Andrew being killed, and then it connects to a killing 2 years ago, but with no real reason that it says. We had to make a whole bunch of assumptions to figure out.
Yeah.
But that being said, the story was described well. It had a the character is described well. I understand why he's playing the game, why he got the game. I know his name. I know how old he is. That's all I really need to know about the character. And then the game, all the gameplay is described very well. I've never played the games, but I had a very clear visual of every single thing happening, which is better than most video game creepypastas do. I applaud him for that. Then has has the potential for a real life direct attack on him through playing the game. I just wish it was explored more. The whole like I got hit and I felt it. I wish that was explored more. It would make this a lot better. But the whole ending is just really weird. But it again, I liked it. I liked reading it all the way up until the end. Up until when it stopped, I liked the story. I don't know.
So
I like that it wasn't just mundane. You guys seem to think it was, but when I see a video game directly damaging you, and seeing a video game being able to perceive your own death, because he dies the exact same way later, it's not mundane to me whatsoever.
That's fair.
But as a whole, missed most of the grammar related things you mentioned. Cultist, probably because I read it after midnight. So I'm like, fine, I just gotta get through it.
So you just enjoy you basically were like the major. I think not the majority, but like a portion of creepypasta readers are you're in that right mindset of just like, I'm just reading this to read it, and like not worry about like critiquing it.
I mean, I wrote down some grammar stuff, but not nearly as many as you did.
No,
Well,
I was in full editor mode at the point. So,
but yeah, overall, I liked the story. It just needs the grammar-related things sorted out. I personally think it needs an intro that coincides with the outro.
Yeah.
So we know who the hell this other person is and why it's being
Perhaps
posted.
Yeah, as sincere as that that author's note is, perhaps not that author's note, and just like maybe add a little like, intro there.
The author's note's fine, just also an intro of another character, like giving a reason why it's posted on the internet and all that. So there's a good wraparound.
Yeah,
and if the him being injured by the game was explored a little bit more in that fight, like maybe in each fight he gets hit and something worse and worse happens every time until like he's like bleeding out the nose or like he has a cut appear on his chest or something, that would be awesome. If all that shit happened, I would 100% recommend this. But in its current state, the best I can give it is a partial recommendation because I enjoyed the story. It needs a little bit of work, a little bit of polish, and then it'd be good.
You know what, gamer? You've turned me around a little bit here. Because again, I started the story liking it, and then just as it went on, it kind of just ground me down.
I think the 30,000 grammar-related discrepancies you
might have done it.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like all your points were basically on point for like I enjoyed the beginning. There are parts of the story I enjoyed and that I appreciate, and it does feel like there is a competent game creepypasta in here. It's just got to be edited and like fixed up in spots.
I know you said you were bored with like how long it took to get there. Both of you guys said that.
I said I'm bored, but I also appreciated I was bored in like just because I was like reading. I think maybe what it is like I don't like reading not FAQs, run through or like basically playthroughs of games.
It's a video game creepypasta. It is a playthrough.
I know. Again,
has to be.
I'm wondering if maybe my state of mind when I was reading it was that I was tired, and I was also, again, full disclosure, I was dealing with work at the time too.
Yeah.
So
well, here's the other thing: the way you function personally, when you play video games, you get tired. When you watch movies, you stay awake. When I watch movies, I feel tired. When I play video games, I stay awake.
You're 100% right. Yeah, I do. Like, I can't play multiplayer games for too long without getting like drowsy. Whereas I can watch movies for days.
Yeah. Meanwhile, me playing online with some of my buds, I'm like, I wonder what time it is. It's 8 a.m. I should go sleep. See you guys.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. Like so, you get a second wind from gaming, where I get a second wind from watching, but for some reason, like what? I guess I was like maybe getting fatigued from like, oh man, this gameplay is like really engaging, but fuck, I'm tired.
Yeah, it's like wearing you out the same way a video game wears you out.
Exactly.
It's described as a video game so well, which should be props to it.
And again, I am giving that props. I do think that the gameplay itself was written. The gameplay that was presented here is varied and is dynamic. It is not stagnant like some other video game creepypasta that we have read. But again, maybe just because of my state of mind when I was reading it, it felt like reading a textbook, and I started getting drowsy.
That's fair.
So
I'm just saying that.
Yeah, no.
My personal opinion, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, and then just like by the end, though, it was just like. I just didn't know where the story was trying to, like you said, like I didn't know what the story was trying to tell or trying to say. Like,
what it felt like to me is playing a video game you really enjoy.
Yeah,
like playing freaking Mass Effect 3. You get to the end and it's just color swapped endings. Like, okay.
Except, well, maybe for you, sir, but I actually liked Mass Effect 3's ending.
Sure.
I'll fucking admit it on this podcast in front of millions. I don't care if we lose fans because people think that I'm stupid.
I'll counter with my own stupid. potential tie-in here. How about the ending of Halo 2, I think? Where you're playing the game, it's like, oh, cool, we're getting to the end. And then it starts the cutscene, you think it's the start to the next level, he's like, finishing the fight, and then the game ends. It's like, oh.
That's just a classic cliffhanger. That's movie sequel bait 101.
There's no ending, though. That's my point. This story goes through.
I mean, there is an ending to the main conflict, which is having that Halo turn off.
But I'm comparing it to this because this whole story goes through everything, describes it all very well, and then it just stops. It doesn't end.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
That's my whole comparison.
That was your reaction to this, whereas I was just like, I'm just confused as to what's going on.
Yeah. You guys are like, thank God it's over.
If we hadn't for example, if we hadn't had the level where Master Chief jumps onto the ship to go to Earth, and then suddenly that was the cutscene that happened at the end, it was like, wait, what? How is he? What?
Yeah.
That's more how my reaction would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Is if we didn't see Master Chief fight through the Covenant city and then jump into the Covenant ship that was going to Earth before the final mission that happens with the Arbiter. And then we get that cutscene after that mission, and it's the Chief on that ship entering Earth's atmosphere and saying, "Sir, finishing this fight." And then it cuts. I was like, "Wait, what happened? Why is the Master Chief on this ship?" That's basically where I'm coming from that angle. So, I guess, it's 1.5 recommendations, or maybe one full recommendation, because it sounds to me like you half recommend it as it is now. I recommend
the story for the story that it's telling.
Yeah,
I just think it needs editing and a proper, a little bit more of an explained ending, because everything else is explained so vividly, and then the ending is just stopped.
Yeah, and then I feel like it started off strong, but then ground me down with a lot of the type of a lot of editing is needed for this. I still don't think I could recommend it in its current form, but I would like to see. I think I could recommend what you're getting at, where if it was elaborated on, so maybe not to just again, like I said earlier in my thoughts, I was you either think this is supernatural or this is a hack. You can't have both, and that's kind of what I was feeling. It was oh, is this a hacked game, or is this something supernatural? And we never really, for me, I never really got that answer, and that's what kind of pissed me off about it.
For me, I assumed it was a hack at the start. Then, as soon as the mind attack happened and the foreseeable future of what's going to happen to him happened, I 100% confirmed it's something supernatural. And your tie-in worked with the death of the kid 2 years ago. I do it.
Yeah, and then but for me, it was by the end, I was I was still not 100%. There was not enough evidence for me to lean over to the supernatural side. I was still kind of engaged into, oh, this is just a hack.
And to tie it in, there was enough evidence for me to just close the case on it.
Oh, all right. That's where we're going to close tonight. So, yeah, basically, it needs work. I think that's the thing to end on here, is that this story has potential but needs work. A lot of work. But it was a good attempt.
Stay silent. Mikey will stay silent. Not have a.
Does Mikey have anything else to say?
Is he even here anymore?
Mikey. So that was this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're also on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow without that W, because his name is too damn long. I'm at Review Cultist. If you'd like to send us emails, you can go to aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, other spooky things on the internet that that you would like us to talk about and postulate on. Just leave them. Give us a list.
Including video format stuff.
Yeah, ARGs, Slender Vlog stuff, spooky video sightings of things. We'll talk about them and see if we can come up with an idea for them, or brainstorm some stories or game ideas for it. We'll make a whole kitchen episode out of it.
Yeah.
If you'd like to help support the show financially, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We got $2 and $5 tiers with special episodes, extra content, early access. To our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you guys immensely because you're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. To our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you guys immensely, especially this one. Like, thank you, Alex, for suggesting the story, despite the fact that we went through a gauntlet with it, a gauntlet of emotions.
Oh yeah, They're referring to the gauntlet of grammar-related things at the start.
That too, but yeah,
Yes.
and thank you to the thanks to the author of the story, Scourge the Hedgehog or Clom89, for writing this story. And like, seriously, if you ever hear this, like, keep writing. Like, this had a lot of potential. It just needed some rounds of editing, and like not just for grammar, but for like just to help make your thoughts a lot more clearer. Like, that's all we've ever kind of like. That's all that's kind of our what we try to do. The takeaway from our discussion and from our, I guess, reviews of these stories is that we do this because, well, I do this because I love reading creepypastas, and I feel like my co-hosts also do that. At the end of the day, we like things to be written well, and we like to help people like improve on their writing. So that's why we do this.
All the stories out there deserve to be out there, and all the thoughts that they're trying to get across deserve to be said. Although if some of them aren't said in a good way, like Sonic EXE and stuff like that, and Spyro EXE, then we're going to tell you why.
Yeah,
it's why it's confusing or can be written in a different way, but that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve to be there.
Yeah, like, know that this comes from like constructive criticism. Like, this is
all of this comes from constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism and from the heart. Like we primarily read these because for the most part enjoyment. So yeah, like, yeah, that's all we're trying to say about that. So like, thank you for writing these stories, and thank you listeners for listening and suggesting creepypastas that you've read and enjoyed and wanted us to tear down and dissect and discuss and postulate on. Have existential quandaries as we read.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
I'm the gamer in yellow.
This has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.